Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. So, I think everybody knows me, so I'm not going to introduce myself here. So, some of you will be applying to college this year, and some in a few years to come, but good luck to all of you. Going to college is a very, very exciting proposition. COVID time, it taught us that it's beyond just acquiring a qualification. It is about learning from some of the inspiring minds, brilliant minds in the world, working on wonderful projects, seeing parts of the world you knew nothing about, discovering yourself that you knew nothing about. So it's a journey. It's a very exciting journey, and as partners in this exciting journey, we've been bringing to you opportunities that will help you prepare for college well, and not just for college but beyond as well. So in that context, tonight we have two speakers from RISE, an organization that specializes in offering research opportunities for high school students. Why research? I know they're going to talk about this, but one story I wanted to share with you before I hand over to the speakers is a couple of years ago, I was at Oxford, and I had a very interesting conversation with the admissions tutor there. She said, Shamla, we are a great institution and all that, but even our curriculum, we can't make ad hoc changes at the same rate that the world is changing. It's a changing world we live in. But our students have the capability of filling their own gaps. They are independent learners. And that's what every college that is going to recruit you is going to look for. Are you an independent learner? Are you going to just rely on MIT or Harvard or Oxford or Cambridge or all these wonderful names to give you the knowledge and skills? No. If you are, then you're not exciting to them at all, your academic landscape notwithstanding. So research is one activity that will help you establish as an independent learner. So it goes beyond being just noticed by colleges. It's a fantastic preparation for college life. So on that note, let me welcome Amey, a research scholar in economics from the University of Cambridge. Thank you, Amey, for joining us today. And Shreyans, who is going to be starting his MBA program soon at Columbia. Shreyans is also the co-founder of RISE, the organization we are partnered with. And so they are going to lead you through some of the opportunities they have for you as students and help you in this journey of preparing for college. So good luck to all of you, and I hope you really benefit from this exercise. Now over to you, the duo Amey and Shreyans. You can take over from here and get started. Thank you.
Right, so hello and welcome to our presentation on RISE's Research Scholar Program. I'm Amey, one of the mentors here at RISE. So to start off with, I'd like to motivate a bit more like Shamla already started with, motivate the purpose of our program focusing on research. So what is research? So research is the study of a subject to either find new information or to build one's understanding of a topic. Now you might be thinking, why is research important? What can it do for you? Well, it's through research that we found vaccinations for diseases such as COVID. It's through research that we've got AI search engines like ChatGPT who can give you answers within seconds. And well, as an economist, it's also through research that we can study the effect of any policy designs that we have. Now, having said that, obviously, saying policy designs versus saving lives through medicine sounds perhaps a little bit less significant, but believe me, all these factors impact your daily lives. Now, research can take various forms. So, for instance, you can go to look for your own data, collect your own data through fieldwork, through surveys. This is known as primary research. There's also the opportunity for you to study existing data and analyze existing data for your particular research topic. This is known as secondary research. You can do research where you review existing literature to get a better understanding of your topic, known as literature review research. Or you can go one step further to try and create and present your new knowledge, which is referred to as original research. So this sort of is a motivation for why we have such a great focus on research in this program. Could you change slide, please? Right, so onto RISE itself. Well, before RISE, I thought it'd be nice actually for me to further introduce myself. So, as I said, I'm Amey, and I am a mentor here at Rise. But I thought I'd give you a bit more background information about me and my research journey, since that's the core focus of today. So, as Shamala said, I did my undergraduate studies at Cambridge, studied economics, and now I'm currently doing an MPhil in economic research, also still at Cambridge. So you might be interested to know what research I've done. So my first official research project came through something known as a HPQ in the UK, which is a higher project qualification. In that project, I looked at the effectiveness, or sorry, I looked at whether or not people should donate to charities, and looking at the effectiveness of charitable aid. For a couple of years later, I then published a much longer essay, this time 10 to 11,000 words, looking at a field in economics which hasn't been researched so much, called happiness economics, looking in particular at the relationship between achieving economic objectives and whether or not they promote happiness within an economy within a country. Now at university, I'm going to be doing a research paper looking at the effect of universal credit, which is a benefit system in the UK, on education through some economic techniques which I've learned through my degree. So that's a bit about myself and my research background, which I thought you might be interested to know. But now let's focus exactly what's on the slides and about Rise. So here at Rise, we have, as it says, we have over 40 mentors from Oxbridge and Ivy League, me included, and we have over 100 coaches from IIT and Ashoka. So essentially, we've got, well, if you do the maths, over 140 mentors from the leading universities in the US, the UK, and India. Rise has been going on for over 3 years, and our acceptance rates into Ivies and Oxbridge at 15% is 3 times higher than the general acceptance rate of 5%. Perhaps most importantly, given that we are a research-focused institution, we've had 50 plus papers published in the top 10% of journals globally. Now, I'll further motivate research. Why research? As I said earlier, you can make an impact on the world. As it says here, vaccines, AI, all of these things, they have a direct impact on our daily lives. They can help to save lives, they can help to improve lives. And that's the fundamental reason why one should be motivated to carry out a research project. But before you create your own knowledge, before you can present your own knowledge, every paper does what's known as a literature review. And it's important that before you create your own knowledge, you study the literature that's already been written so that you gain knowledge of what's already there. And then you can use that to help motivate your own research and help you find solutions to expand knowledge on the field. And in the process of doing so, you become a great expert on your topic. Indeed, referring back to the projects I mentioned earlier, along with the HPQ and the EPQ, which were around 10,000 word essays, I had to also, as part of the project, give a 15-minute presentation on them. And that was actually quite easy because of the fact that I'd read so much and so extensively on the topic, that I'd gained an expertise on the topic as a whole, as well as perhaps adding my own knowledge to this field. Now, the third bit is the one I'd like to really stress in terms of standing up from admissions and perhaps bring my own anecdotal information, given that I'm studying in the UK at Cambridge. So I think there's somewhat of a misconception with UK universities that they care about your extracurriculars, they care if you play the piano, bang the tabla, whatever you might want to do. But fundamentally, all these UK universities, Cambridge, Oxford, LSE, these are research institutions. These are institutions who want to hire people, well, take in people who are interested in research. So what's important are firstly your grades, but your grades are like a necessary condition. These are the things that will put you in contention to get a place, and that's the minimum that you need. But what you also need to show is that um, extra interest and passion, as well as aptitude in your subject, and that's, I suppose, known more widely as supercurricular activities. And the greatest example of that, really, which can be most effective, is a research project in the subject that you're applying for. Because essentially, the professors in the universities who interview you and assess your applications are researchers in their field. And they want to hire people whose mindset is aligned with them, who they want to hire students who have an equal passion for the subject and who have uh, an interest like them to make their own contributions to the field. So, for instance, if you're an economics applicant, but you're only applying to economics because you want to get a job in investment banking, that's not really going to work because you need to show at this stage in your application that you have an interest in the subject. And there's no better way of doing that than doing a research project. And obviously with RISE, having mentors from the universities, you'll have access to perhaps techniques that other people at school level won't have. So you can do more advanced research papers incorporating greater techniques. And that's why such a program is so useful and makes you stand out for admissions. Now, you might have noticed that I had a particular focus on UK universities there because essentially we've got the data for the US universities on the next slide. So obviously in the US, there's also perhaps a greater emphasis on extracurriculars as well. I mean, if you think about what Ivy League is, it's as much an athletic conference as it is a collection of the top research institutes. But nonetheless, supercurricular activities such as research projects are vitally important for making you have a strong chance of getting admitted, as you can see in the stats below. So Caltech, so 45% of students who were admitted into Caltech had submitted an original research in their application. Similarly, in University of or UPenn, where a third of the students there had a similar thing. Stanford and Harvard, again, they're looking for intellectual vitality. What does that mean? It means it's not just you having good grades and you being able to understand topics learnt in school, but you having an interest to expand your knowledge and do your own research. So all these top universities in the US, as I mentioned earlier in the UK, are looking for research interest, and that's essentially the reason why you should also strive to have an interest in research.
Thank you, Amey, for your insights about research. My name is Shreyans. I'm the co-founder at RISE. We've been helping students for the past 3 years write and publish research papers in some of the leading journals. So I think Shamila and Amey had a good insight into why research is so important to help you differentiate in your application journey. What I will be focusing on are the more tangible aspects or the tangible outcomes you get after research, namely publications. So like any sport, extracurricular activity, or your courses in your regular curriculum, the end goal is always something in terms of tangible metrics. So for your courses at school, it's that grade point that you get, your GPA, your grades, your percentages. Be it for extracurriculars, it's the ranking, your achievements in a particular sport, event, music, etc. And when it comes to research, the differentiation for most students comes through publication. Very simply, what is a publication, right? A publication is a recognized journal that accepts my work and publishes it part of their monthly or quarterly or yearly review so that other people can read it or create discussions around it and more people have access to your research. So what is the importance of publication, right? And can a high school student actually publish in a top journal? For a long time, there's this misconception going around that publications is something which is reserved for PhD scholars and very highly inclined scholarly individuals. But that's something we're here to break at RISE. We believe that publications are accessible to high school students, to college students, and PhDs alike. What's more important is that there are journals for each of these categories of individuals, and we help you focus on journals that best suit your interest and your aptitude. So coming to more specifically, why publications? So as already mentioned, research helps you show that intellectual curiosity and academic rigor. Publications helps you validate that. So when you publish a paper, you get a certificate from a recognized journal, which is highly revered in the US and UK colleges. And when you put this on your applications, or your resume, CV, or mention it in your personal statements and essays, it shows that you have academic rigor and it sort of reiterates the fact that you have done quality research. So the academic rigor is already displayed when you mention you have done research of some kind, but the sign of quality is then assured by a publication by a journal. So that's something we believe is super important for most students. Coming on, as Amey already mentioned, the acceptance rate for universities. So what we have noticed that a bunch of our students who have published papers have had great success in their application journeys And what they always tie this into is the research topic they discussed with their interviewer at the interview stage. Moreover, they highlight in their essays the impact that research triggered their interest or motivation to pursue a particular major. So it might sound very basic and broad that research helps you increase acceptance rates, but the way it does it is that it gives you more evidence and context to choose a specific major where you have gained some expertise over a few months of in-depth research. At the same time, it allows you to discuss this with your interviewers, who are often PhD professors who will then teach you subjects in that particular college. So that's something we believe very strongly in, is that acceptance rates aren't directly tied to research, but through research, you are able to build different parts of your application. And that's the added advantage you get when you apply to these top colleges. Thirdly, differentiation and applications. So as already mentioned previously, not every student is capable of putting in those rigorous hours to do research, even beyond their academic curriculum. So this is an added advantage that if you are able to make the time out of your schedule, if you're able to balance your other activities and take up research as another activity on your plateau, then that's something which will help you differentiate yourself with other candidates. We also realize that less than one in 10 candidates have actually published research at these top colleges, which also shows goes a long way to show that research is a key differentiator in candidates, but even more so, a publication helps you further differentiate your application by a quality sign that's given by a top journal. And moving on to the recognition and opportunities of doing research. So one, as I mentioned, is that we have these journals that give you certificates of publication. But even more than that, what's the impact that you are causing after research? We strongly believe that after research, there are multiple avenues to present your work in a conference or symposium of professors and panels of judges. You can also build tangible projects to test out your preliminary research and show impact through different initiatives. I'll go more into detail into how our students have created that impact in their individual projects to give more context. So some of the competitions that our students have presented their work are displayed on the slide. So I'll go for each conference one by one and give you a short example of the kind of work our students have presented at these conferences. So a very famous STEM conference, which is started by undergrads at MIT, is the MIT Think Scholars competition. So what they primarily look to promote is the inclination to STEM research in high school students. We had one of our students who built a tool, a walking stick, which was enabled to a Bluetooth speaker, which they could attach to their earphones, and that helped blind people walk. So initially, the student built this tool as a prototype and then conducted research by testing it on real people at a visually impaired institution in India. He then presented this work at a MIT Think Scholars conference and was also recognized for his efforts and the data he collected through this activity. Later on, he got into Caltech for research in undergrad and unfortunately did not make it to MIT, but I think Caltech was also a good bet for him. But beyond that, the idea that we're trying to promote through research is that it does not end at a research paper. It can go beyond that to build tangible products, tangible projects that actually impact society around you. Even more interesting, we had another student in humanities. She was studying paying taxes in India, and she presented her work at the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium. Her paper was primarily about the socio-economic disparities of women in rural India, and she compared the decision-making of these females and categorized them based on their income earning capability. What she realized was the women who weren't being able to earn above minimum wage were fundamentally unhappy and had multiple mental illnesses versus those that were earning above minimum wage. She presented her insights of serving over 150 of these underprivileged women in India at the symposium at the US and also gained high recommendation by the panel for her work. So what we're trying to say is that through research, you have multiple avenues open where you can obviously present your work to a larger group of audience who is stimulated by the similar topic or similar interest. And that's when more insights come about and you can gain recognition through your activities, through your efforts as well. I'm now focusing on some of the journals that we primarily focus on to help you publish research papers. At RISE, we believe that publishing papers for students who are dedicated and motivated is a strong differentiator in their applications. And we guarantee publications for our students in some of the top journals in the world. So for STEM papers, we work primarily with the Global Scientific Journal. So this is a peer-reviewed open access journal, which has a very high impact score. So publishing in this journal at a young age gives students that added advantage. They mention it on their CVs, resumes, and also talk about it in different avenues and presentations. For people doing research in different fields, we work with the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research. We published over 30 articles up to date in this journal, and we believe that this journal gives great credibility to all of our students researching in humanities, social sciences, and any other multidisciplinary topic. So what we're trying to put through our presentation here is that the importance of research is so paramount to differentiate your publications and help you stand out in a way that most students often overlook or aren't able to dedicate enough time for this journey. As I mentioned, some of the projects that we have done that were very interesting for our cohort. So one of our students had a family business in pharmaceutical manufacturing. His primary interest was to help his business scale to a higher level. So the kind of research he conducted was primary in nature. He went to his factory and understood the processes and best practices used in India, compared this with developed markets around the world. And his sort of thesis or his essay to the admissions committee was that I realized several gaps in these processes and technologies in India versus developed markets. And I want to come to university, learn more about these technologies and bridge those gaps. He finally ended up going to UChicago for a business and economics degree. And his application was heavily focused on his research project, which helped him understand what drawbacks or bottlenecks were in the Indian economy and how he could further them through his research at UChicago. Another interesting thing, which is very relevant to today's day and age, is an AI-based battery management system that one of our students based out of US had a project to do. So she essentially focused on electric aircrafts. So why electric aircrafts? As we already know that we're moving transport from petrol and diesel vehicles to EV vehicles. And likewise, this shift towards electric aircrafts is not too far in the future. A key component for this is the battery management systems and the efficiencies revolving around that. Her project primarily focused on secondary data that she got through analyzing different efficiencies, error rates, and different problems that these battery systems were facing. She researched deeper into that and tried to find patterns through reinforcement learning by the AI models she developed. So this is something that she kept on developing, and she sort of wants to do more research in this use case of AI if it can help automate the idea of identifying maintenance or repairs for these battery management systems. Another interesting topic that we thought was again relevant to today's day and age was cryptocurrencies and blockchain systems and their impact on today's economy. One of our students was super passionate about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency world in general, and he sort of focused on using his knowledge in mathematics and statistics to build different models to predict the pricing of Bitcoin based on multiple factors that affect its price, like the block rate, the blockchain size, the error rate, the hash code, and so on. So the idea is that we help students discover topics that they are truly passionate about through their own experiences, or we help students identify topics that they are passionate about by nudging them in the right direction. We often have students come to us and tell us that, hi, I like physics and maybe I'm interested in astrophysics, but I'm not sure what research I want to do. We're more than happy to get them on, introduce them to our mentors who are currently researching in astrophysics, give them more context through weeks of readings, videos, and other tutorials, and then they come up to a topic that they're truly passionate about. Something which I believe is very close to my heart is the impact of research when people localize it to their own environments and contexts. of their nations. This is something we try to focus on with most of our students, is that if they can conduct original research focusing on their own nations, this is sometimes a standout factor even beyond a publication. Something like a pink tax in India is very unknown, and most people are unaware in rural cities about this very simple policy where governments tax female hygiene products at a much higher rate versus other products in India. This is something one of our students discovered after having read more about the government policies that were very conservative. And she went on to create her own campaign to distribute free sanitary pads to thousands of women and conduct menstruation workshops to get them aware about the different aspects and resources that they can access to aid the condition. So our idea is that we want to create impact through our research and in a way tailor it to your localized region or to a global political view or to geopolitical situation as well. So the idea is that we want to truly find what you're passionate about and work with you to help you build it to a much bigger scale. So as we mentioned, as Amey was saying, we have 40 plus mentors across the top universities in the world. Each of these mentors are highly specialized in their fields, and all of them primarily focus on a very niche aspect of a branch. So we would have someone for topics as vague as gender studies, bioengineering, biochem, astrophysics, neuroscience, and neuroengineering, economics, law. So off the spectrum, we cover every discipline, and we try to match you with a mentor who's best equipped with the field that you want to explore. We understand that every person who's doing research has an adept skill set that will help you do more research in that particular field. So the mapping of mentors to students based on their unique interests is something that we truly pride ourselves on, and we are able to match people across all disciplines, across all subjects. Now, more specifically, in terms of the programs that we offer at RISE, so some of the programs that we have for younger students is the standard package, where kids in grades 7 and 8 do not primarily focus on publications. They want to focus on getting that intellectual curiosity, developing that academic acumen towards researching in a particular field. And they often go for the standard program we offer at RISE. So in the standard program, you have a PhD mentor from Oxbridge or an Ivy League college who comes and understands your unique interests and meets you week on week to understand and gauge what topic you want to explore further. We also have writing coaches to help you write out the research paper. So the differentiation between a research mentor and a writing coach is as follows. A writing coach is someone who helps you navigate different aspects of research and helps you download research papers, use different tools, techniques, etc., to write papers as per the guidelines of a particular journal. So as we already know that reading a research paper is not as simple as reading an editorial novel or a bedtime story book. These papers involve complex keywords, terms, and other sort of structures and data points, which in high school we haven't been exposed to. So all of these things often look intimidating to students without writing coaches. And that's where writing coaches come in to help you read papers, to help you condense data points into simple, actionable items, and to help you sort of decomplex all of this data into a manner you can easily digest and use in your own research. So what I also believe is a very differentiating factor for most of our students is that throughout the program, the entire curriculum of research that we run and follow is set by our advisors that are PhD professors. So the entire structure of research has actually been created by very senior members on the team. And our team is helpful, always there to sort of follow the procedures and help you do research that is A, authentic, and B, of a high quality, that when you present in public conferences, you get accolades, you get recognitions, and all sorts of positive reinforcements to different environments and situations. Focusing more on the duration of the research program. So the research program is a program of 8 to 10 weeks. Within those 8 to 10 weeks, we have a week-by-week syllabus and curriculum, wherein you start by identifying a research question you're passionate to solve. Thereon, you start reading about other research papers, understanding more context about published papers, literature reviews, and so on. And then week by week, you progress by collecting data, analyzing data, sort of drawing inferences, conclusions, limitations, and so on. And I think something more interesting for the students of higher grades from grade 9 to 12 who will be looking to apply to colleges very soon is the research program which focuses on the publication aspect. So in the premium program, we guarantee publication for all of our students. We have 3 hours of classes every week in the 10-week duration, in the 8 to 10-week duration. And within those 3 hours, you are able to build a good enough base to conduct research, and you're given 2 hours of homework every week. So it's roughly 5 hour time commitment each week from your side for 8 weeks. So it's a roughly 40-hour course, which is highly intensive to do with your academics or other commitments. And if you're able to put in these required hours, we sort of guarantee you publication in the top journals that we displayed before. So I'll pause here and open up for any questions that anyone might have in the panel, in the audience, hoping to understand what kind of research do you all want to pursue. If there are any specific topics that you want to discuss, we'll be happy to take questions now.
Sorry, can I just interrupt that? Can you all post the research questions on the chat? Because otherwise it might just get, it might collide. So people, can you just post your research questions on the chat, and Amey and or Shreyans can take them off. Is that all right with both of you?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right. I think that might work better. So that way we don't miss anything. I'm just going to kickstart this. So if a student has no idea about a topic, would you all help sort of narrow down, frame the question? Is that part of the journey?
Yes, thank you. I think that's an important question. So most of the students that come to us have no context of the topic that they want to cover. So here's when we sort of give them a couple of weeks. So they come with us with broad ideas. So they would come and say, "Hi, Shreyans, I like economics and math. What should I do research on?" So we would then guide them on more specifics. So do they like game theory? Do they like microeconomics? Do they like geopolitical economics? Or what sort of economics do they want to focus on? Once we get the gauge of that, we give them more reading material, articles to sort of read. And then over a 2 week duration, we're able to focus down and sort of narrow down on a single research topic for them to follow.
Thank you. I mean, because most of our kids, I don't think will have a topic in mind before they come to research. I mean, they'll have a subject discipline that we generally advise them of, and then they will take this forward.
Yeah.
What happens with mentors? Would the selection be in, along with the student? I mean, how does partnering with the mentor work, the research person work?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the administrative process is what all we're trying to know is, do they meet with you first and then you patch them up with a mentor? How does that work?
So coming to the application process, which will answer your question as well. So since we guarantee publication to all of our students, we work with a limited number of kids in each cohort. So we have cohorts in spring, summer, fall, and winter, the dates of which will be shared in the next slide. But in terms of the logistical aspect of what is the application process, so they'll be filling out an application form, which will assess their grades, their research areas of interest, and will give us a good understanding of their past experiences, both in terms of academics and research. After the filling the form, we shortlist profiles based on a predefined set of criteria. And once we shortlist them for an interview, someone from our team, one of our mentors, would have a one-to-one interview, which would last between 30 to 45 minutes. This interview would be given to gauge their understanding about the research process. So before the interview, we'll be giving them some reading material, which will be then discussed in the interview. During the interview, we also try to understand their motivations for research, their expectations of the end process and the end product. And that's something we want to gauge through the interview. And after the interview, we finally send out acceptances and we onboard them onto our program. So the first point of contact would be either someone from our team. They can book a one-to-one call to understand the entire process. And once they understand the process, we'll share the application form link with them, and they can continue with the application form once they are aware of the process.
Thank you, Shreyans. what is the time commitment we're looking at? See, summer is fine. I mean, kids will have more time on hand, but September through May, they're all, they have school work as well. So what sort of time commitment do you expect from the students? You said 8 to 10 weeks. So per week, what would be roughly the time commitment?
So for 8 to 10 weeks, the time commitment roughly would be 4 to 5 hours each week. So we sort of tend to have 3 hours of classes with the student each week. So that's direct engagement. And we try to do most of the work within those 3 hours. And then we give them 2 hours of homework to get work done on their side as well. So 5 hours for each week in the 8 week duration. So roughly 40 hours would be the program duration. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because they're also trying to understand if they don't do over, because summer they have SAT prep or some such thing.
Yeah.
So if they pick up a research track post summer, then they need to
Yeah.
be aware of what they're getting into in terms of time commitment, and that's what happens.
I also saw a question on, is the 8 to 10 week duration of the program continuous, or would there be gaps in the program to gather field data? So within those 8 to 10 weeks, we would give you some time to gather field data as well. So 2 to 3 weeks in the duration would be gathering data from different sources. And if you require more time to get the data, we'll be happy to extend the program till the entire paper is published. So the way we function is that we keep it an 8 to 10 week duration. But if at all that your data is taking more weeks to collect, we'll be happy to extend the program so far as you complete the entire project, and we are able to help you with the publication aspect. So from our side, once you start the program, we have you on board with us till the publication is complete.
Okay, people, type your messages. Now, what is the next cohort that is available, Shreyans, and what are the timelines, deadlines we're talking about?
Right.
Okay.
So for the next cohort, we are currently starting off with the spring batch. So as you might see, the spring 2 cohort, already the deadline seems to be passed as it's today. But if anyone's interested to sort of fill up the spring 2 cohort, if they can schedule a call in the next coming days, we'd be happy to onboard them to the spring 2 cohort. And after that, it's 30th April, which is summer 1, and then 15th June is a summer 2.
All right. Now, when you say summer cohort, spring to cohort, we will check. But if summer cohort is when I think they're most likely to join, what are the periods you are looking at in terms of the actual work, the research work itself? This is the application deadline, but what is the period of work?
So the period of work is 1 week from the application deadline. So by
All
30th, people would apply to the program, and we already have applications for the summer batches. So most of the kids do it with us in the summer. So we keep the batch size to 30 for each of the batches to ensure the maximum quality and sort of focus from our mentors and our founders ourselves. So the idea for us is that the sooner you apply, within a 10-day time frame, we try to conduct the interview and give out acceptances. So even for the summer batches, we have already received 30 plus sort of applications for each of the batches, and we look to sort of close the batch way before. So if the deadline for a batch is 30th April, within a week's time, that's roughly 7th May, we'll be starting off with the batch.
Sure, thank you. I think there are some more questions on the chat box.
Yes.
If you can just pick them off.
So how long should an ideal research paper be? I don't think there's any right answer to this question. A research paper could be as brief as 2,000 words, or it could be as extensive as 20,000 words. The idea of doing research and publishing papers is that the research you are doing is adding new value to the academic community, which creates dialogue and discussion within academic mentors and professors. So you could have a small research paper or a larger one. As long as the work you are doing is of high quality, there should be no sort of reservation in the size of the paper as such.
So your the RISE program, what is the usual length of the paper itself? Usually the research paper?
So usually the papers we publish are between 8,000 to 14 to 15,000 words. I'll also let Amey add a bit more about the ideal research paper length.
Sure.
Yeah, so, well, I was thinking more from, at least from an economist's point of view, if you're looking for an economics paper, it's not really much about the length, but there's usually a structure which is followed. So we normally have an introduction which sort of runs through the whole paper as a whole. Then we perform a literature review, which looks at the existing literature to motivate the question and essentially show what gap you're filling in the literature. The next section looks at the data that you use, followed by the method that you use to solving the answer, then the results and discussion, and then followed by conclusion. So that's the structure it normally takes, and it's more important to keep to the structure as opposed than having a particular length in terms of how many words you have.
Thank you. Thank you. There's another question.
Would I need independent local verification for my field data? So you would, so there are two ways to think about local data. So you can conduct surveys to collect this from your direct surroundings or your environments. And based on the demographics you are surveying, you can collect that data. So the idea is to keep the data sort of unfiltered and unbiased. That's something while conducting data is the most important aspect. So we don't want to sort of focus on one pain point. Let's say if you're analyzing the effect of a vaccine, we don't want to only survey those people who've had negative consequences from that particular product. So to keep the data unbiased is something which is super important. Moreover, a lot of data is available on open source through different independent data service providers. So if the data is tough to collect yourself, you can always use proxies that are available through government websites, through the World Bank website, and so on. Specifically to economics, as Amey would also be able to point out, that a lot of data for trade, for GDP growth rates are available, and for labor statistics are available by the government portals and platforms. And those are easily accessible to all of the students from these websites.
So data source is something that you could advise on.
Yes, so data source is something that we would specifically advise you of where to collect the data. If it's not possible to be collected physically through your immediate surroundings, we would be able to provide you proxies for that data through secondary sources.
Sure, thank you. All right.
Okay,
until more questions come in. I mean, I'm talking on from this side of the chair as an admissions counselor. Should the students request a recommendation from the mentor they worked with, who can validate the kind of work they've done, the quality of work they've done as an additional recommendation to support the college application? Is that something that you can provide?
Yes, I think that's a good question. And that's something we encourage our students to build a relationship with our mentors over the duration of the program. And once the mentor sees that the student is dedicated and passionate about the topic and actively engaging with the mentor, they will be more than happy to provide a recommendation to the student. However, we don't promise that our mentors would give a recommendation. This is because if the student does not perform work of high quality, that's something that they cannot expect as a given from our mentors, since they are very serious academic scholars, and it would not be in the right interest of academia to give recommendations with no sort of solid merit. So I would say 9 out of 10 of our students receive recommendation letters, but there's always one off case where the student's work is not up to the mark, and that's when we aren't able to give them a recommendation letter.
Okay, thank you. I think that's very, very clear about that. Any other questions, people?
I see one in the standard package. Will I not be aided with the publication of the paper? So in the standard package, we would help you develop the research paper in appropriate format of research, as Amey already ran us through, but we don't help with formatting for specific journals. So the publication aspect is not guaranteed in the standard package.
Is there additional work for the publication itself, or is it the same to 8 to 10 weeks duration? I mean, I'm saying, is the program longer if you have to publish the papers, or how does that work?
Once the 8 to 10 weeks are complete, we have a final research report ready by the students. Then we submit an application to a journal, which takes between 1 to 2 weeks for them to review and accept. So once they complete with the paper, let's say in 10 weeks, another 2 weeks is when they will receive a publication certificate from the journal.
Okay. So that's the journal's audit time or something, right?
Correct. Yes.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And this was lovely. Very insightful, actually. So wonderful. I wish we could do research as well. So we'll now keep introducing Shreyans, you are our first point of contact to students who are interested. Then you all can take it up. So we'll set up meetings, and then you all can give a brief discussion. I will be passing on the this recording to the other students who have not been able to join tonight, and hope they'll get in touch with you as well. But thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.